Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I have a prediction to make. You can hold me to it. If I'm wrong, you can say you missed it. The health care bill is going to pass, is getting modified. The Freedom Caucus is going to get the modifications they're asking for. We're going to talk to David Brody to see what actually is there. But my prediction is it's going to pass. They're going to give Trump a victory. It's going to go through the Senate. And we are all going to rejoice that we're paying less on health care. Now, that's my prediction. And wait till tomorrow. You can prove me wrong if I'm wrong.
You heard it here.
You heard it here. Well, I knew that the Lord was going to give Trump victory. And I was arguing, people were arguing with me, no, he can't win. Yes, he's going to be the next president. Oh, no, he's going to win.
Well, we had that fascinating guest on that talked about, the Cyrus biblically and how
I had it
God
before the
used him.
fascinating guest, but I mean, before the election. All right. Well, the British government is operating as if yesterday's deadly terrorist attack in London was linked to Islamic terrorism. Surprise, surprise. It wasn't Methodists that did it. It was Islamic. That's the word from the British Secretary of Defense.
Scotland Yard believes the attacker acted alone, but they're also looking into possible associates, and ISIS is calling the attacker, quote, soldier of the Islamic State. Dale Hurd has the story.
British police have raided several addresses and arrested 8 people in connection with yesterday's attack by a knife-wielding man who used his SUV to mow down pedestrians on London's famed Westminster Bridge, then fatally stabbed a policeman before he was shot by police and later died.
There was bodies, literally.
Must have been about 10 bodies.
12 bodies.
The driver then crashed his vehicle into the gates outside Parliament.
And I see that one car smashed to the wall, and just people started running all over.
Among the victims, a Romanian woman who was in London to celebrate her boyfriend's birthday, shown here either being hit or jumping from the bridge. She was later pulled from the Thames River with severe injuries but survived. The dead, policeman Keith Palmer, seen here as officers and emergency workers furiously tried to keep him alive. Also, 43-year-old Spanish teacher Aisha Frade, who was on her way to pick up her children. Also, a man in his 50s. 29 were hospitalized and 7 were in critical condition. The number of so-called walking wounded is around 40. The attacker was British-born and known to British security, but his identity has not been released. The attack came on the anniversary of last year's suicide bombings at the Brussels International Airport that killed 32 people. ISIS claimed responsibility. Britain hasn't seen as many terror attacks as some nations, but it remains a factory of Muslim jihadists. 850 British citizens have left to join ISIS. It dawned on one tourist that he had come to a potentially dangerous place.
I'm from Brazil, and in Brazil is very safe. In London, first day in London is today, and my welcome is this.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
How many incidents do there have to occur in the cities of Europe before all of us in Europe and the United States realize we must crush ISIS? It isn't a question about negotiation. It isn't a question about sooner or later they're going to be choked and expire. They've got to be crushed and destroyed. There needs to be a massive strike on Raqqa. There needs to be a massive strike on their Syrian strongholds. There needs to be a massive strike to destroy them in Iraq. And then all over the world, wherever they're found, they need to be destroyed. They need to be destroyed, not brought to trial. They need to be destroyed. They are killers. They are monsters. And they have one goal, and that is to kill, maim, and wound innocent people. And it's time that they be brought to an end. Now, that means we have to mobilize, and I think people need to get behind the president and his national security advisors to say, let's hit these rascals where they are, where they hurt, and let's wipe out their sources of money and their sources of recruits. And anybody here in the United States that's playing games with them needs to be brought to justice as quickly as possible. I think this thing is a cancer. And look what they did in France. And the new game is drive a car into crowded civilians. How can any of us survive? If we're walking down a sidewalk and all of a sudden an SUV or a high-powered sedan comes rushing at us at 70 or 80 miles an hour, what are we going to do? Well, you're going to get probably killed, and we've got to stop this. Well, in the United States, it's an important day for President Trump and the Republican leadership in Congress. You've heard what my prediction is, and we're going to talk to, well, some of our reporters to see whether I'm right or not. But Abigail Robertson starts with this story from Capitol Hill.
House Republican leadership is fired up and ready to repeal Obamacare through the bill called the American Health Care Act. But getting enough support to pass it has been far from easy for the GOP. Skeptical congressmen like Jim Jordan voiced their concerns to CBN News soon after the bill was released.
Look, we're united on repeal, Republicans are, but right now some of the, quote, replacement and some of the things they're putting in with the repeal in the leadership plan, we don't think is consistent with what we told the voters we're going to do.
The conservative House Freedom Caucus argues the bill won't do enough to lower health care costs, and as such is a missed opportunity in replacing Obamacare the right way.
We didn't tell the voters we're going to repeal Obamacare, but we're going to keep some of the Obamacare taxes. I know I didn't tell them that.
22 Republican no votes would prevent the bill from passing, and a source told CBN News Wednesday that at least 27 GOP members were a no on the health care bill the White House supports on the eve of the scheduled vote in the full House.
There's Plan A and Plan A. We're going to get this done.
The president visited the Capitol in a closed-door meeting with Republicans this week to try to win over conservatives on the fence and to lay out the political stakes if their attempt at overhauling the healthcare system fails. He left the meeting hopeful he'll get the votes.
Can you get the votes, Mr. President?
I think so.
And there's been other drama on the Hill. Just 2 days after FBI Director James Comey confirmed they are investigating ties between Trump officials and Russia, House Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes said a source had shown him information that Trump transition team members had come under apparently legal surveillance after the election during the final months of the Obama administration.
I recently confirmed that on numerous occasions, the intelligence community incidentally collected information about U.S. citizens involved in the Trump transition. Details about U.S. persons associated with the incoming administration, details with little or no apparent foreign intelligence value, were widely disseminated in intelligence community reporting.
Nunes didn't share his information with the ranking Democrat on the committee, Adam Schiff, before announcing it. He says that names of the officials were unmasked or revealed improperly, and that they are going to conduct an investigation into who was aware of it and whether any laws were violated. Nunes briefed President Trump, who has said that Trump Tower was wiretapped by the Obama administration, and he says he feels somewhat vindicated by the findings.
I somewhat do. I must tell you, I somewhat do. I very much appreciated the fact that they found what they found, but I somewhat do.
And over in the Senate, Judge Neil Gorsuch's hearing on his nomination to the Supreme Court is moving forward smoothly, with witnesses now appearing before the Judiciary Committee.
I think that Judge Gorsuch will be an excellent Associate Justice on the Supreme Court.
Hannah Smith, two-time Supreme Court clerk and member of the Beckett legal teams that defended clients like Hobby Lobby and the Little Sisters of the Poor, is one of the people testifying before the committee.
He's written 800 opinions, and of those 800 opinions, the majority of them, by far, about 98%, have been unanimous opinions, which just shows what a consensus builder he is and how he has written opinions that all of his colleagues can join.
Senate Republicans are certain Judge Gorsuch will be the next justice on the Supreme Court.
Why anybody in this body would vote against you, I'll never understand.
After the hearings conclude, the Senate Judiciary Committee will vote on whether to send the nominee to the whole Senate with a positive, negative, or neutral rating. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, our CBN News political correspondent, David Brody, is with us now from Washington. David, I know there's been a lot of horse trading going on. Can you tell us specifically, what did the Freedom Caucus want, and have they gotten it? Have there been changes in the bill, and can you tell me a few of those details?
You bet, Pat. Look, I've been burning the midnight oil. I have been on the phone quite a bit with many of those Freedom Caucus members. As a matter of fact, spoke to one about an hour ago. Look, they want two things. They want the essential health benefits insurance regulation repealed. They want it gone. Now, that doesn't mean they want the essential health benefits gone. You know, you might hear from the mainstream media, oh, the Republicans, horrible. They want essential health benefits gone, like maternity care and pediatric care. That's not what they're saying. They're saying that right now, obviously, in all of those Obamacare plans, there are these essential health benefits, which in essence drive up the cost of premiums. Because if you're 20 or if you're 65 years old, you don't need maternity care. And so that's what they want. They want that out of there. There is a second part. It's the Title I regulations. Not to get in the weeds, but basically, these are all of the other insurance regulations that they believe drive up the cost of these premiums. Now, this is where the wiggle room comes in between the White House and Paul Ryan and the Freedom Caucus, because they don't just want the essential health benefits repealed. They want many of these Title I regulations repealed. And so the wiggle room is how many of these Title I regulations will be repealed. All of this will be discussed today at a White House meeting between the Freedom Caucus and the White House. That's where a top leadership aide just told me moments ago. That's where the deal's going to go down at the White House today, and then we wait and see.
Well, from what I gather from the Freedom Caucus, they really want to give the president a bill that'll look good 3 or 4 years from now, and they're not trying to hurt him, they're trying to help him. Am I correct in that?
Pat, you're absolutely right. They call it a death spiral, that if you don't get rid of these insurance regulations, not just the essential health benefits, but those Title I insurance regulations we talked about, if you don't get rid of that and you just do some of the other stuff where you're repealing some of Obamacare, it's not going to matter and you're not going to have a good bill. Now, of course, the Republican leadership, Paul Ryan, has said all along, look, we're not going to be able to get some of these insurance regulations that the Freedom Caucus wants repealed. We're not going to be able to get it through the Senate because of parliamentarian rules. Well, now we're understanding, well, that might not necessarily be the case at all, because the parliamentarian may decide that because this is a budget reconciliation bill and you only need 51 votes in the Senate, that if something's not related to taxes and spending, then it won't pass the Senate. But the Freedom Caucus members are saying, give me a break. Of course, all of this is related to taxes and spending, so it would pass the Senate. We'll see.
Is Mitch McConnell ready to push it through regardless, do you think?
Yeah, in terms of the health care bill, absolutely he is. Look, Pat, this is, if I can I do a food analogy? Do you mind? Can I do this food analogy?
Go ahead, brother.
All right, so here's the thing. If you're a kid, right, Obamacare is like, now I'm talking about if you're a kid, not if you're Pat Robertson who eats very healthy, but if you're a kid, Obamacare is like broccoli. And the Freedom Caucus wants ice cream. And right now, what the Freedom Caucus is getting is like grilled chicken without the seasoning. They're not getting much, but they're not getting broccoli. They're getting something better. They're getting some of Obamacare repealed. So that right now they've got grilled chicken. Now, here's what Trump and Paul Ryan are saying. They're saying, look, grilled chicken is just phase 1. We've got phase 2 coming, which is maybe some bacon on top of the chicken. We got phase 3 coming, which is melted cheese. And then at the end, you're going to have a beautiful meal. So, you know, a huge big league meal. And that's kind of the scenario right now.
I think they're going to pass it, don't you? I don't think they can deny the president this victory.
I think you may be right, Pat. They're very close. My sources are telling me they're about 3 votes shy right now. Earlier, it was about 27 no's. I think it's about 25, 24 no's. They're allowed about 22 no's, and then if they're at 23 no's, they lose. So they're about 25 right now. I think you're going to see movement. I think this bill is going to pass, but I think it's going to be a long night watching C-SPAN until about maybe 3 a.m. in the morning, where we just watch the clock tick until they get that final vote. Pat, you know the deal in the House. They can open a vote at 7 p.m., and they can keep it open for 7, 8, 9 hours as long as they want until they get that final vote.
Last question, of course, the next thing that most Americans are concerned about is tax cuts. I don't think they're going to try to overhaul the entire code. Can't they just cut some brackets and get on with that?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go necessarily for the whole enchilada, but they are going to try to make actually systemic tax cuts as it relates to middle-class tax cuts. And the Trump administration is calling these what they hope to be the largest in a very, very long time, since Reagan. And so we'll see. Now, whether or not if health care hits a snag, then the tax cuts may hit somewhat of a snag. But then again, let's remember, Donald Trump's bread and butter all along has been economics. It has been not just the art of the deal, but he's a businessman. He knows the tax code very well, and so this will be in his comfort zone going forward.
Great analysis. Keep it up, David. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Interesting, Terry. They're going to get it. I mean, they're going to give it to the president. Mark my word, it will pass. They'll get those extra votes. It'll go through and everything. You know, they're going to work together to give a tremendous health care. But the whole idea of mandates, of you have to have maternity care for a 60-year-old. You've got to have, you know, arthritis care for a 20. Yeah, well, I mean, everybody's got to have health insurance for all the diseases that they will not ever have, and they're going to change it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the way you do it. They're making sausage. You don't want to watch them making sausage. You just want to eat the sausage when it's finished. All right.
Wow, sausage, enchiladas, and ice cream. I'm getting hungry.
You had breakfast yet?
Whatever.
Okay.